date. I understand that the psychology is not, psychology is not favorable. You feel bad when you see your drawdown on your account. Now, let me get that. No
Investment.
matter how much grow you think you
Going
have, I have at least times 4, times 5 of it. That's so just chill out. Because what is going to happen is the hold on a second, please.
Okay.
Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, I can. Okay, your screen. Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So what's going to happen is as soon as people get into the flow of the adoption with Bitcoin, all of a sudden everybody will start getting crazy with the altcoins, and because altcoins are usually less voluminous in terms of market cap, they start to respond very crazily. And as soon as Bitcoin starts to tank, let's say it hits all time now, 20,000 this month now, it will probably come back to 16K and stay there for a while. As soon as that starts to happen, automatically people will rush into altcoins naturally. Because then people need to bank their Bitcoin, and the more savvy investors will want to cash out. So they'll cash out of Bitcoin, then rush into alts to buy at a cheaper rate. But because what we're having right now, it's a double play of both institutions and retail traders. So we're likely to see very violent price movements. Let me start. Let me start my live feed on Instagram. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so welcome again to Crypto Pulse Weekly, our weekly review of the cryptocurrency markets and analysis of the health check of Bitcoin, and why you need to take specific attention and pay specific attention and take specific precautions in this period, because we're about entering the third gear, if you will, of the cryptocurrency bull run for 2021. It's a bit funny, because I would say this particular bull run is hinging itself on the back of the US election. And you can see the behavior of the price from immediately after the election was cast and the votes started coming in. So this week, as usual, we'll look through our usual items of what's happening in the markets. Welcome to the people joining on Instagram. Welcome to people on Zoom. We'll look at what's happening in the markets. We'll look at some vital signs, what I call vital signs. There are signs that you see on the market that tells you a number of things. And we'll also look at some information, which I call crypto drip, which are like knowledge transfer sessions that helps you in your decision making and understanding of the market as a whole. So in terms of market updates, I'm going to try to repeat as well some of the things I said last week, because some people were not part of the last week's session, and some people have requested that they would like to have a recap. So I'll have a recap of some of the news items as a way to explain the action we are seeing in the cryptocurrency markets, especially this week. So it's no longer news that Bitcoin is doing a 3-year all-time high at the current price of 15K plus. It attempted 16K just yesterday, but it didn't quite break it. In essence, Bitcoin has broken two very significant milestones or resistance, or psychological or otherwise, in the last 1 week. So it's crossed 13K, it's crossed 14K, No, it's crossed 14K, it's crossed 15K. No, it's 13, 14, 15, and has attempted 16K. Why is that important? The last time Bitcoin was at 15K and above was in December, around December 2017 and January 2018. That was at the peak of the last bull run. So what it tells us is that we're on the verge of a major breakout from a technical standpoint. And you're about to see some very huge demand on the market, even on the retail trading side. Another thing that it tells us is that the policy direction from the United States, as underpinned by the US election, has been holding back on the flow of funds to the cryptocurrency markets. And that was exemplified. So you see on Tuesday, for instance, on Monday, the market was going sideways, the stock market was dropping. Cryptocurrency was not dropping on that day, but it didn't make significant progress as opposed to the morning after the election. That was when you started seeing price making insane moves. I was speaking with a classmate of mine, and he was saying that this thing is insane, that he just bought this morning and he has made 10%. And I was like, you have no idea what is coming for you. But basically, what's happening is the markets were waiting on the policy direction, what the policy direction was likely to be from the United States. And once it became clear that, we're going to have a Democratic executive and we'll probably have a Republican Senate, the market was happy with that combination. They know that, no significant policy changes in the near term. And Joe Biden is more of a centrist than a far right now, far left Democrat. So they know that very, 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 very easily that the market is going to have a jolly good ride in the near term. And that's why you've had more, push on the market in terms of price action. In terms of regulation, of course, we can expect that there will be more regulation as more money continue to come into market. We're now over 400 billion in market cap. You see that very shortly. And I also have news on central banks and what moves they're making in issuing their own digital currencies. Then we have the altcoins as well. Altcoins have stopped bleeding, essentially, as at the beginning of this week. And one of the reasons for that is because many of the profit that was made from the altcoins have been cashed out. So the altcoin prices have fallen significantly. And then when Bitcoin started moving up, people were selling off their altcoins to buy Bitcoin. So because of that, altcoin was bleeding on both sides. It was literally bleeding out. There's been very turbulent and psychologically torturing moments for a lot of people because many people bought at the peak. I have coins that I bought at the peak of the market in July, August. For instance, I have many of them that are doing 60% drawdown, 50% drawdown. It doesn't look good, but when you know where the market is going, you sort of just keep your calm and sit down and watch. So the altcoins have started recovering, as you will see the reflection in the market cap when we start looking at the market capitalization in details in subsequent slides. So I'm going to try to run through some of the things we ran through last week as a way to explain why we are seeing what we are seeing this week. So first, I told you last week that JP Morgan made a 180-degree turn in 3 years on the issue of Bitcoin. First, they said it was fraud in 2017 and anyone involved in it was stupid. Then last week, they came up with their own coin and wrote their customers that actually Bitcoin is a proper asset class and it has more upside than gold and that could triple in value. That is JP Morgan, one of the biggest financial institutions in the world. Now, the effect of that statement to their customers is beginning to play out. We've seen that in what's happened this week. Another one I told you about was the one in the US about Avanti Financials joining Kraken in issuing crypto services. I also told you last week that the biggest bank in Singapore was also launching its fiat to cryptocurrency exchange, and they're hoping to basically woo more investors. If you know Singapore is a new money financial hub, so to speak, in the Middle East or in Asia. And they've been trying as much as possible to be in the forefront and the frontiers of neo finance. And so I'm not surprised that this bank is trying to get into the fray as well. Same thing with the biggest bank in India, partnering with partnering with Kasha, a cryptocurrency bank, a banking startup, to offer services across India. I mean, we all know how big India is in terms of population, and they want to start rolling out immediately. Now, all these guys are making a demand on Bitcoin. Then I mentioned Central Bank of Iran saying that they'll be buying Bitcoins from their miners. Now, bear in mind that all these Bitcoins that everybody wants to get into, it's just going to be, you're not going to get more than 24 million Bitcoins ever. So we are trying to get from the same pot. So the supply is limited and it's finite, and the demand is increasing, and we now have exponential demand. So factor in all of that and look at what's happening in the market today. You can see that people are beginning to take positions in the markets. So how does that affect us? When people start to take position in markets for Bitcoin, everybody will quickly realize that, this price is going up too fast, too quickly. Because of that, people will start looking at alternatives, which we call altcoins. Then they will start considering the altcoins. Now, if you got in when the altcoins have not started pumping, as they say, you start to make supernormal profits, because most altcoins, when they move in multiples of units and 10. So you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10x. Some do 20x, some do 10, 100x, depending on what their volume is. So because of that, we're likely to see, once we have this particular Bitcoin rally recede a little bit, we're likely to see more action on altcoins, because altcoins are also started responding or recovering. Another interesting news I saw this week was Nigeria's Information Technology Development Agency. I usually don't like talking about government agencies in Nigeria, because I regard them as very, very unserious, generally unserious set of people run by incompetent hands. But they said they're hoping to get into blockchain, and hoping that they'll be able to generate $10 billion from the blockchain industry by 2030. And they were saying that on the back of the PwC report that said we could get about 1.75 trillion input into the global GDP because of blockchain technologies. I would say that, well, they're not to be taken seriously, frankly, but I know that, people of like minds, like myself, are looking into developing technologies that can be deployed in developing countries like Nigeria, that can drive adoption of blockchain and cryptocurrency and help in bridging the gap between the civilized, or let me not use the word civilized, the developed world and the developing world. And this is very important, because this might be our only opportunity to truly catch up on, the developing countries, because the technology is new and everybody's learning. There are very few people who are already ahead. So it's an opportunity to get to blockchain, get to cryptocurrency. But this, if the government of Nigeria is talking about it, then it's a serious business. Another news I found very interesting this week was, apart from the US election, of course, I think I'll spend more time on the US election this week than I'll spend on most other things. The central bank chiefs were meeting in Russia this week, and they were discussing the economic impact of COVID. And one of the fallouts of those discussions was the consideration of what you call, I don't want to call it crypto. Well, you can say it's a cryptocurrency, but it's the central bank issued digital currency. So imagine, instead of us spending normal money, we're now spending cryptocurrencies, but these cryptocurrencies are issued by central banks. So it's almost like, if you were to have a very simplistic central bank issued currency, you have a token issuance on a platform like Ethereum, and basically the central bank would just write code and issue the currency into the pool anytime they want. So it's not really a cryptocurrency, because it won't have a finite supply, and they can always add more tokens as they like. So they're talking about that, and they're trying to get the pilots on board by sometimes next year. Again, we need to put in context the kind of demand this is placing on Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market generally. Because Bitcoin does not have, an infinite supply, it means that demand is going to go higher. And if you remember the previous weeks when we talk about the corporate treasuries that are accumulating Bitcoins into their, balance sheets, it becomes important to note that we cannot escape having cryptocurrency. Like I told somebody, I said, if you want to, that my personal retirement plan is Bitcoin. The guy laughed. I said, yes, that's as much as I'm buying other cryptos. I'm a majorly altcoins person, but if I'm going to start putting any money separate now to retirement, I'm going to put it in Bitcoin. And the reason is very straightforward. Bitcoin is not going to exceed $24 million. 24 million units. So the price is going to keep going up. There is not going to be any new technology to increase the amount of Bitcoins. So you can have new technology to increase the amount of gold, for instance, but you never have any technology to increase the amount of Bitcoins. So definitely, it's a very significant long-term investment. Personally, it's part of my retirement plan. If I can accumulate like 10 Bitcoins, I think I'm fine for retirement. But that's a separate discussion. Let's go into Crypto Vital Signs, which is a detailed analysis of what's going on with Bitcoin as our index currency. Just for the purpose of people who are not familiar with our routine, we usually go to Crypto Vital Signs using Bitcoin because Bitcoin is the index currency. And what is happening in Bitcoin tells you what's going to happen essentially with most of the altcoins that are related to Bitcoin. So Crypto Vital Signs tells us what's going on with Bitcoin in terms of various metrics. The first of which is market capitalization. I've always put this diagram, and I usually like to leave this diagram or this picture on the left on this presentation because it shows you where we are and it shows you where we're still hoping to go. So the equities market today is in trillions of dollars, over 36 trillions of dollars, and the crypto market is just in billions. So when you compare the size of the crypto market to the size of the equities market, it's like comparing to the sun to the earth. And then we now compare our altcoins to, to Bitcoin. It sits as a very small fraction of the overall Bitcoin market capitalization. Why is market capitalization important? Market capitalization tells you how much money is coming into an asset class. And if you don't know, Bitcoin is now an official asset class, as confirmed by many, global investors and investment companies, hedge fund managers, global institutions, corporate organizations, New York Stock Exchange listed companies are now including, they're buying Bitcoin as part of their treasury. So officially, as of this year, Bitcoin is an asset class. What does that mean? Very rarely do you find an asset class being created in a lifetime. It's a very rare occurrence. So the fact that we have this new asset class being created right before our very eyes means there's a significant opportunity for life-changing and transgenerational wealth. And I've said this before. I said it last December. I said it at the beginning of the year. I said it in May when there was halving, that we have an opportunity to make transgenerational wealth with this new asset class that's coming in, because it's just at the very beginning. Think about the equities market, as I said, $36 trillion. The cryptocurrency market is not even up to 1% of that right now. So it's important that we put that in perspective and see where we're going. So if, for instance, PwC is saying that by 2030, they think blockchain technologies will add $1.7 trillion to world GDP. Extrapolate that to what cryptocurrencies will do, maybe like times 10 of that. And look at where we are today. So it's almost like we're at the very beginning right now. Somebody asked a question on altcoins. I'm going to talk about altcoins when we get to Crypto Drip. Actually, what we have today in terms of Crypto Drip gem collections, let me use that word, for 2021. In terms of market capitalization comparison, back to the subject matter, you can see that Over the last 1 week, we've gained $13.1 billion in market capitalization in cryptocurrencies. So last week we were at 397 or thereabout. We've gained $13.1 billion in just 1 week. And that's reflected in the price of Bitcoin as well. So when you see this kind of spike, and that's why we're always monitoring market capitalization in crypto. When you see this kind of spike, it tells you that significant volume has come in terms of purchases, and automatically expect that the price will rise. And not only as a price of crypto risen generally, altcoins as a fraction of cryptocurrencies have also risen. And that explains why I said altcoins are on the way to recovery, because you can see that we've gained $4.8 billion in the altcoin markets in the last 1 week. Why are all these important? They're important because it tells you the money flow index. It's like the money flow index for cryptocurrencies. So what we've seen now is we've seen an inflow of 13 billion. Of that 13 billion, 4 of it has gone into altcoins, and about 9 of it have gone into Bitcoin, and that's reflected in price. Bitcoin dominance is about what it was last week, was 63.3 last week, 63.4 this week. Bitcoin dominance is also a reflection of the I want to use the word price flux between Bitcoin and altcoin, meaning how money, or not money flux, how money is moving between Bitcoin and altcoins. When Bitcoin dominance goes down, you can expect that you can automatically see the effects in the valuation and the market capitalization of altcoins. So we're making progress. As I said, I expect that by the end of next year, the minimum we should do should be in trillions of dollars in terms of market capitalization for Bitcoin. And as I've said before, I expect that before the end of next year, Bitcoin will have at least tried either $90,000 or $100,000. It seems far, but you can quote me and you can mark my words. Let's go into the technical analysis. So I'll start with last 2 weeks. So the last 2 weeks, and I'll explain what all these charts are saying. So I have 2 diagrams here. There's one I have the arrow here, which is just the last 2 weeks, what the weekly chart was looking like the last 2 weeks, and that's why I have the arrow there. So that arrow is this old chart is just a shrunk version of this bigger one, excluding this candlestick. So this candlestick is for this present week. This one is for, this one is on last week. This one is for week before the last. So week before the last, I was saying that because this weekly candle has broken at a then 12,000, that we have made a significant progress at the beginning of the bull run, and that we're likely, very likely, to see more subsequent bullish weeks. And what has happened, as you can see, is that from this long candle, we've had the second one. Hold on, please. We've had the second one, which is bullish, and I'll show you what that pans out to in terms of weekly charts. So the snapshot we took at the end of last week was showing what I had on the previous slide, which was this one. The week hadn't concluded then, so this candle was looking incomplete. But if you go to the next slide, you can see that that candle that was incomplete last week eventually finished up as a quite strong candle. And you can see that this week, we've gone all the way, running up onto almost $16,000. How is this important? Why is this important? So like I always say, the red candles are bearish days in which the closing price of Bitcoin is lower than the opening price. And the green ones are the ones where the opening price is lower than the closing price. So as long as you see green candles, it means the market is in an uptrend. So what about all those lines that I've drawn across? Those lines are just lines that's what I'll call trend lines, trying to draw what I will call the various trends within trends and try to understand the direction of the markets. So the first trend line that was broken was this one, which was broken back in, I think that was beginning of beginning of October. Then we drew another trend line, which was this one that came all the way from the all-time high of 2017. When that was broken was when we started saying, that was about 5 weeks ago. That was when we started saying that we expect a major breakout in the price of Bitcoin. And if you see that, since that trend line was broken, we've had 4 weeks of back-to-back bullish candle. We expect a lot of action in the next week, but I think that the market might decide to take a breather next week and flush the funds into altcoins. So in terms of the daily charts, similar picture. You can see this was what it looked like the last week, this separate corner. And then by the end of this week, you see that the candles have successfully ascended. And by yesterday, you saw that we not only crashed, we crashed 14,000 and just went straight, gone in for almost 16,000. Today, you can see that, yeah, the market has attempted 16,000. It's on its way back. Two things are likely to happen from here. One, because we no longer have any resistance ahead of us to the all-time high of the price of Bitcoin, which is 20,000. We can just go from here in the next few days and hit 20,000 and start running back. Or the market can take a breather and come back to like 14,005, somewhere around here, and then continue in its upward journey. But whichever way, both the futures market and the options market have already priced in Bitcoin for anywhere between $20,000 and $30,000 before the end of this year. And if you look at intraday, as I was saying, the intraday sentiment showing the 4-hour chart is already saying that we're going sideways, meaning there might be some consolidation. Nevertheless, my advice would be, if you've not bought Bitcoin already, I will say don't buy. If you want to buy, you can buy if you're ready to hold for a long time. But if you're just buying to sell for a quick profit, I would say buy altcoins instead of buying Bitcoin, because for sure, Bitcoin is about to take a correction. I don't know whether it's major or minor, but there will be some correction in the prices, and we expect a slight price drop before an upward movement. In terms of market cycle and psychology of the market, I always bring this up so that people understand the context. You know, in business school, they'll say strategy is only applied in context. And that if you try to apply strategy outside of context, you're going to fail. And I remember a particular case study, business school, where they said Walmart tried to go to India to set up, but that they failed woefully in setting up in India. And that was because the culture in India doesn't warrant, people buying from big places. They trusted their local dealer more than they trusted the big stores. They felt the big stores was, for the rich and well-to-do. So that model never failed. People were still buying from their local friendly vendor because the context in that country was very cultural. I'm sure it would have been a bit different if they said they were coming to Nigeria, for instance, because especially in the South, they were likely to get good results. So context is everything. And this particular chart is all about context. It helps you to know where we are in the market. And I always bring it up so that people are aware of where we are and you don't get carried away by the noise. So right now, as I said, we're here. 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago, I said we're at the bottom of this rally is real. Now we are climbing out of optimism. We're at the edge of optimism and we are getting into belief. Now people are starting to notice that, wow, Bitcoin is done 3 years high. Bitcoin is now 16,000. People are starting to talk about it. But wait for another 3-4 weeks. Then there will be the belief, because then we'll be at around 20,000 and then everybody will be going crazy. Everybody will be talking about Bitcoin. But before getting carried away, you need to realize that by the time everybody's talking about Bitcoin, is either the time to sell your Bitcoin and wait, or convert your Bitcoin to altcoins, or convert them to stable coins and wait, because it means that you might see a whipsaw. A whipsaw is like it's from the terminology of whipsaw injuries in medical theory, but it's like how the whip moves. It moves violently back and forth. So when the price goes up suddenly, you can expect that the price is going to crash suddenly as well. So within the next 4 weeks, you can see Bitcoin price go to 20,000 and in the space of 1 week after, it comes back to 15,000. Then it goes up again to 21,000. That's very possible, because once we're in this realm of belief, thrill and euphoria, it's a given. You're going to have a lot of that. So, as I tell people, you need to plan your trade and you need to trade your plan. If you enter the markets and you're 200% in profit, I mean, there's nothing stopping you from taking 50% off the market in profits. If it goes further, you can take another 50% off. By that, you'll have made anywhere between 100 and 200% in pure profits. And you've taken out your initial capital, you're still in profits, and the profit is still running. And then if it goes further, you determine how you want to take your profits. Because if you don't take your profits, as I say all the time, you're like that person that went to sell bananas in the marketplace, and then a trickster decided to use your banana to play tricks on people, and people started gathering around you, watching the trickster using your banana, but you never succeeded in selling your bananas. At the end of the day, the trickster makes his money, everybody goes away, you're left with your bananas and you not sell them. So it's important that you know when to sell your market, as they say in Nigeria. You know when to sell your market, because if you don't sell your market, then you're going to be a long-term hodler, and you might be carrying that bag for a long time. So it's important to know when to sell, important to know when to take profits. You don't have to take all the profits, but take profit when you can. Divest and invest in other assets from your profits. But it's important to know when to take profit, and that's what this is all about. Right now, we are on the tip of optimism and getting into belief. Everybody's about to start rushing in and start talking about it. So be aware that we might get some trigger back into optimism when the price falls before we go to euphoria, or might go all the way to euphoria. But bear in mind that between now and the end of the year, we still expect Bitcoin to touch 20,000 at some point. In terms of our fear and greed index, as I always say, this is a 5 weeks profile of crypto fear and greed. So in the last 5 weeks, we've moved from 48 in terms of neutral. So 48 is about neutral. We've moved from neutral to greed. This is greed. 61 is greed. 74 is more greed. This is where we are now, 90. So now we're almost close to finishing our speedometer. What does this mean? It means that the market is overbought. When the market is overbought, it means somebody is going to sell very soon. If somebody sells very soon, then the price is going to come down. And that was why I said earlier on that it might not be the best time to buy Bitcoin, because people are already buying like crazy for the past 3 weeks. So, and like I said, I think I said this last week as well, that I was still expecting that the greed index would get to 90 or 90 something before they see any correction. So, in my opinion, until this gets to 92 or 95 in the next few days, I don't see a correction, and it might get there very quickly. I mean, there's nothing saying it doesn't get there. This particular gauge gets updated every 4 every 6 hours, so it might get there very quickly. But right now, we are sitting on extreme greed. When this is reaching extreme greed, be careful of how you enter the market, especially for Bitcoin. So right now, I wouldn't be buying Bitcoins. I will be buying altcoins, because Bitcoin is completely overbought right now. The next sentiment we look at under crypto pause is market sentiment for Bitcoin against the US dollar. Why is this important? This tells you how people are buying and how people are selling. If I had shown you the screenshot from last week, you'll have seen that at some point we had buy for all the various timelines across 3 weeks. Now, today, we've moved from buy to strong buy. Last week we were in buy, but as of today, you can see we're now in strong buy. What this is saying is that we have more buying positions than sell positions. So people are buying like mad right now. While it's not a bad idea to buy now, but you need to bear in mind that just 6 weeks ago, this commodity or this asset was selling for 40% less than what it was selling today. So you can buy now, but make sure that you don't sell lower than, make sure you don't sell lower than what you bought. But what I'm saying is the market is overbought. If you buy now, then you might aim to sell at 20,000. If you buy now and sell at 20,000, that's about 40% give or take, or 30% give or take. But you'll get to 20,000 very quickly. So, and come back. So I would prefer to wait for it to come back before getting into the market again. But yeah, on the short term, the market is completely overbought for Bitcoin. So it means that we're about to see a flux of funds into altcoins from Bitcoin, because once Bitcoin is overbought, people quickly take their profits and buy altcoins. Then all the funds that are sitting in Bitcoin suddenly start pumping the altcoins market. So in terms of crypto drip, our last section today, I'm going to talk about the gems, crypto gems for 2021. I'm just going to give 2 examples. If you want to get into the details, I'm having a class in 2 weeks' time on trading for people who are interested in trading cryptocurrencies and managing portfolios as well. It's a follow-up on the earlier class we have. So people who did the first class will have some advantage over the others. But if you're interested, you can DM me or contact me. It's going to cost you, because it has the opportunity to make you some life-changing money. But in terms of what we're talking about today, in terms of crypto drip, we're talking about gem categories for 2021. And I'm going to explain what all these are, and I'm going to explain why they're so important. So in each bull run that we've had, in the last 2 or 3 bull runs for Bitcoin, there have been major themes, I will call them themes, that have been driving those bull runs. So the last one, it was what we call ICO, the era of initial coin offering, where people will come and bring the white paper to say, this is what we want to use our token or our coin for, and we want you to invest. A lot of people made a lot of money from ICO, and a lot of investors also made significant profits, because some of those ICOs went to become giant projects. Good example is Binance. Binance at some point was almost distributing their tokens for free, and they opened up at less than $1. Now Binance is selling almost close to $30. So significant opportunities came up during that time. But since that time, what we have now is the era of DeFi. And I think this particular bull run will be characterized and will be underpinned very much by DeFi. What is DeFi? DeFi is decentralized finance. If you have any problems with that, you can check some of our earlier videos on YouTube, where if you search for Crypto Pulse Weekly with Dr. Demi, you should be able to see some of the earlier videos on YouTube. We have a channel there where we talk about DeFi and we talk about the various ramifications of DeFi. DeFi is decentralized finance. I'll call it a layer 2 application level on the blockchain. So it's based on blockchain technology, but most DeFi are using the Ethereum templates to build what you call decentralized finance. So what's decentralized finance? Let me run through for the benefit of people who are just joined today. Decentralized finance is basically using computers and algorithms to do the works of banks today. So what does the bank do? The bank can borrow you money. The bank can help you keep your money. The bank can help you transfer or transact your money. The bank can also help you to not help you. The bank can take your money and use it to borrow other people money and pay you peanuts as interest. But decentralized finance is more robust because it takes that functionality away from banks and allows you to put your money in a pool and earn interest directly based on smart contracts. Smart contracts are just automatic programs that determine who needs the money, how much can they pay in terms of interest. Do they have a backup in terms of crypto collateral? And then it gives them the loan and you get the interest. It also works for what you call decentralized exchanges, where you provide liquidity. Providing liquidity means you are providing the money for the trade. So somebody wants to buy Ethereum, you provide your Ethereum as liquidity for that market. So they buy the Ethereum and pay with maybe USDT. As they conduct the transactions on-chain, you get a fraction of the transaction fee, as opposed to centralized exchanges where you go to and apply. The centralized exchange is the arbiter and the arbitrator of the transaction. They collect their commission and they sell to those who want to sell and they buy from those who want to buy. But for decentralized finance, you can have decentralized exchanges where You don't have to know who is selling. You just plug in your wallets to the platform. Example is Uniswap, and then you buy or sell. So DeFi is a very, very strong play for this crypto bull run, and it's going to gather a lot of money in the short term and medium term. I mean, before the short crash in in September, DeFi was at some point housing over $1 billion, and that was over a very few, maybe like over 5 weeks. So DeFi is going to be very, very huge as a very lucrative category of. Given two examples of very strong DeFi tokens. One is Uniswap, and the other is Wi-Fi. These are various projects. I can't talk about them in details because I think I'll run out of time. But these are various projects. Uniswap is a token of the Uniswap platform. The Uniswap platform is one of the strongest DeFi platforms in the market right now. And the reason why they're strong is because almost everybody else is using their software development kits and development framework. And because of that, you had all sorts of copies of Uniswap. In fact, I think even CRO's decentralized finance is a fork, is a copy of the Uniswap infrastructure. So yeah, Uniswap opened at $2.50. It went within 24 hours. I think it went to like $5.60. Then when the market crashed, it came as low as maybe $1.70 or $1.30 yesterday. But it started to pick up now. Same thing with Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is also a decentralized finance application. Somebody just asked me about CRV. Yeah, CRV is it's also a DeFi coin. I think will do well. I can't give you too much examples so that people don't get confused, but I think the ones I am sure of, I know the authors of them, and I know the potentials that they have are the ones I've listed. CRV is another good project. Curve. Oracles, on the other hand, are like integration platforms. So for the guys who are not IT professionals or who are not IT savvy, integration platforms or integration applications are like middlemen. They're like for the medical guys, they're like joints or capsules, joint capsules. Let me use that. For the medical guys, they're like joint capsules. For the general people, they're like middlemen. They're like middlemen applications that help you to link one application to the other. So oracles help blockchain applications to link to non-blockchain applications. That's what oracles do. So oracles are another example of a layer 2 blockchain application, in that they're not sitting on the blockchain, but they connect to the blockchain and then they connect to other applications outside the blockchain. So think about, let's say, a DeFi application like Uniswap. Good example. As I said, Uniswap is a decentralized finance application. You don't need to fill any form. All you need to do is get on the application, connect your decentralized wallet where you have your coins, and then conduct your trade. If you want to swap Ethereum for Bitcoin, if you want to swap Ethereum for anything, conduct your trade and pay the necessary fee and go away. However, the question behoves us is how is the Uniswap platform getting its price feed? How does it know that the price in the market is not far from the price that you are buying? It's doing that through the function of oracles. So these oracles are like integration platforms. They take price feeds from outside the blockchain in real time and pass them to blockchain applications. Good examples of Oracle applications are Link and Band Protocol. So they're like integrations or middlemen applications that sit between blockchain and no blockchain application. Why are they important? Because you're beginning to see more application of blockchain in the real world. These will be of significant play, because as we adopt more cryptocurrencies, we'll definitely adopt more blockchain applications. So I think these are going to be very significant assets in the next 1 year. I mean, for instance, Chainlink has done, between year to date, it has done 10x, meaning it's done like 900% in the last 1 year, because last year it was like $1. this year. It's done. What am I saying? It's done more than $10 this year already. It's somewhere around $10 right now, if I remember very well. But it's done about $17 already this year. That's 10x plus. But when the adoption hits fully next year, I expect that Chainlink could do anything between $100 and $500 at the minimum. Same thing with Band Protocol. Same thing with Unify and Uni, as I mentioned earlier on. Then in terms of platforms are opportunities for developers to create layer 2 applications. So Ethereum is a good example of a cryptocurrency platform. So even though Ethereum is a cryptocurrency token, it has a coin and all that, it's also a platform in that it allows developers to build software development kits and secondary applications. So think of, when I talk about platform, think of iOS. iOS is a platform where developers build apps for iPhone. Same thing with Android. Android is a platform where developers build applications for all these other phones, Samsung and all the like. Because platforms provide very robust functionalities, they're always high in demand. So Ethereum, for instance, is going to launch a version 2 in the next 3 to 4 months. If they succeed in launching version 2, in which they plan to solve some of their scalability problems, then you can expect to see a very rapid growth in the price of Ethereum. We already have about 20% growth in the price of Ethereum in the last 1 week. Expect that to grow higher. Ethereum is going to become like US dollar very soon, because a lot of platforms and a lot of applications that we have on the crypto market today are working based on the Ethereum platform's framework. Another platform is Polkadot. Polkadot, I don't want to use Ethereum-like, but it's doing the same thing, or it's trying to do the same thing as Ethereum. It's relatively newer, and you have fewer developers on this platform, but I think it's going to grow, especially when people start to clutter Ethereum platform. You have people like Dots taking up significant market share as well. So these are 3 major, crypto categories I think people should consider. If you need further information, as I told you, you can join the trading course that we're having in 2 weeks' time. And then if you want to have more specific instructions around positioning and market sizing, portfolio management and all that, that's also going to come through in 2 weeks' time. So I think I've done enough. I'm going to take questions now so that we don't run out of time on Instagram Live. If you have Instagram Live, if you're on Instagram Live, you can type in your question. I think I already answered the first question that was sent around what altcoins to buy. I've given 6 examples. I've given 7 examples, including Curve, CRV. If you have any questions, please unmute your mic and let me have it. Thank you.
Good evening, Doc.
Good evening, Mr. Albert.
I just closed from work. I just remember, so I just joined. As soon as I joined, okay. you ask for questions. Unfortunately that I missed today's lesson. But
yeah, well, what you can do is you can go to.
Come again.
You can go to Crypto Pulse Weekly on YouTube. You will be able to get to this. Crypto Pulse Weekly. Crypto Pulse Weekly. PULC. Yeah, it's a channel on YouTube.
YouTube.
Oh, yes.
I did not get the word right. Come again.
I'll type it into the chat box on Zoom.
Okay. All right. So I can listen. Yeah. Thank you very much. Then I have my condolences too.
Oh, thank you very much. Yes, I lost my dad the past week. He was buried yesterday. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
Dr. Tomori, I see you. Tayo, I don't understand what you're saying. Tayo Dayela, waiting they work. What do you mean they work? I don't understand the question. Tayo, please type your question again. Yeah, so Mr. Dr. Tomori, I think I've answered the question. Please, if you have not answered your question, please unmute your mic so that I can take them. Dr. Tomori. Have I answered your question? Oh, okay. It's probably not good to hear me. Okay, if there are no questions, I think the only other thing I wanted to say is for people who have drawdown on their CRO and altcoins, I'll just advise that you exercise some patience. It can be psychologically depressing if you have drawdowns when the market is down and you're not taking profits. So it's important you exercise some patience. And I was telling Dr. Lallery just before we started, these items are not perishable goods. At least for the most part, they're not perishable goods. And if you have them in hand, you have a good opportunity to sell at a very good profit in the coming year. Many of the actions that we're just seeing now, we'll have seen them in 2020, but because COVID decided to come and wreck everything, many of the action is now being protected, and that's why some of these prices are just picking up now. We should have tried all-time high before now, but it's picking up now because there seems to be some direction in terms of COVID, in terms of US election, which in turn directs policy decisions around the world in the near term, 2, 3, 4 years. So that clarity is help to the markets. So we expect all of that to fuel the markets in terms of demand, and we also expect that there will be a lot of activities from corporates as well who are trying to use Bitcoin as inflation hedge. If you wanted to hear about my discussion on Bitcoin as an inflation hedge, you can listen to the last week's video on Crypto Pulse Weekly, or you can check it. I think I have it both on YouTube and on Instagram TV as well. So in the absence of any other question, I'm good to close for now. I see you guys on Instagram, even though I think I've only heard from a few. So I see Tunde, quite a number of people actually. I see Bobby, I see Oba, the Whale of Wales, I see you. Richard, I see you. Dr. Maxi, Dempsey, I see you. Jokes, I see you. Mushak, I see you. Tayola. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. If you need to reach me or have any questions, many of you have my numbers. Otherwise, you can send me a message on Instagram, or you can send me a message on Zoom before I close. This is my number. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful week ahead. Keep your money safe. Okay, the story of CRO Trump plus. Oh, Jida, sorry. If Trump trust is sorry guys. Somebody just asked the question. Let me quickly address it. What's the story of sorry? What's the story of CRO if Trump loses? Trump has lost already. That's I don't know if you're not following, but the man cannot win enough electoral votes to get himself, and he's trailing badly on majority vote as well, even though the majority vote doesn't count. But even in electoral votes, he's not leading anywhere anymore, because most of the mail-in ballots were from Democrats, and the Democrats, of course, were voting massively on mail-in ballots, and they voted for Biden. So many of the places he had leads in the battleground states is now trailing. Of note is Pennsylvania, which has the highest electoral college votes. It's not likely to win Pennsylvania. Even Georgia, it's almost like a tie in Georgia. He's been trailing in Arizona Nevada, I think, yeah, Nevada, since the last 2 days. So it's not likely to win. Trump's loss does not affect the markets from what we've seen. I think what the market was waiting for was what the setup of the new government was going to be. And as I said earlier on, a Democratic executive and a Republican dominant Senate is a very good balance, because it means that they're going to successfully checkmate any reversal in policy in the near term. If, however, we get to a position in January when they do the rerun and the Democrats get a upper hand by maybe attaining 50-50, then the markets might react slightly. But by that time, the price of Bitcoin will already be in full-blown force. So you might not see so much impact. And consider the fact that whichever government comes into place, stimulus is still going to be applied either this month, next month, or January. So the stimulus is going to be applied. And once the stimulus is applied, the market is going to go more crazy, badly. Like, the market is going to go really crazy. So it doesn't have any impact anymore. And in terms of, like I told somebody, I said both the Democrats and the Republicans are the same party. It's just that they use superficial issues to distinguish themselves. So we talk about, gun rights, all those things are the same. I mean, because they are just, as far as I'm concerned, a way of divide and rule. So you can't say that you're fighting for abortion. At the same time, you are not concerned about the health of the people who are alive. And you're not concerned about gun rights. I mean, you're not concerned about gun regulation. People can kill themselves if they want. So you're only concerned about the new people that are coming into the world. You're not concerned about the ones that are already in the world and how they leave the world. So it's an irony, if you ask me, because how would you marry that together? So in the same way, the people who are talking about the Socialist Democratic Party, they're not really socialists, because Democratic Party members and their elites are in cahoots with Wall Street. They're very much in cahoots with Wall Street. So there are different sides of the same coin. Let me use that word. Sorry, somebody wanted to say something? Hello? Okay. So, yeah, so it doesn't have anything on the price of, the price of CRO is going to recover. Like I told somebody last week, if I had some additional funds, I probably have bought some CRO now, because I know that at the very minimum, I'll make 100% in the next 6 months. At the very minimum. Why do I say so? The all-time high of CRO from where we are right now is about 60% off the peak of August. So if you buy now, you're guaranteed 100% by the time the market goes back to all-time high. So don't lose heart on your CRO, because by the time, especially if you have it staking, by the time your staking is expired, you might actually think twice about selling it, because the price must have really risen so fast. Like I told somebody, I think that was this morning or yesterday, that we shouldn't be surprised if CRO is selling in the units in 2020, early in 2021, meaning $1, $2, $3 or $5, because the way the price appreciation of Bitcoin is going to affect the altcoin is going to be very rapid, and most people might not have time to react. I think that's enough out of me today. Have a nice weekend, everyone. God bless. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you very much.
All right, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Dr. Demis.